is apolitical and neither neutral, because if it would have been like that, they would allow Russia to participate. And I think Eurovision is political for like the last 20 years, and it's this decision not to ban Israel for participating is based on discrimination, Islamophobia.
For more on this, let's bring in writer and activist Tadhg Hickey from Cork, Ireland. Great to have you here with us on TRT World. So last year, Russia was excluded from this competition over the war in Ukraine. But this time around, Israel is participating, even though Israel has been accused of a genocide in Gaza. If this is not hypocrisy on part of the organizers, what is it?
Exactly right, my friend. And I feel like for them to say that it's apolitical, as some of the interviewees in your segment illustrated wonderfully there, it's laughable to think that it's apolitical, because if you're giving a country, as you say, who are currently on trial for suspected genocide, if you're giving them a platform, if you're banning the waving of Palestinian flags in the venue, and if you are also masking the jeers, because we found out last night that the reaction inside the venue is being masked and we're not hearing the full boos, they are all political decisions. You know, you're choosing a side. This is not a conflict, as you know, but if it was a conflict, they're taking their side in it, and the side is Israel. And I think it is the ultimate unspeakable slap in the face, the final nail in the coffin for Palestinians who are going through a genocide of their own people right now. We're discovering mass graves, assassinations, the starvation of women and children and men and settlers, as you were saying earlier, settlers gathering to block humanitarian aid getting in. In the midst of all that, I think it is obscene for Israel to be invited to perform at a gleeful singing competition that's supposed to be a celebration of love and solidarity. I think on the European Broadcasting Union's page, they actually use the word solidarity as part of their founding ethos. It is rank hypocrisy of the highest order, and I'd urge everyone to stand up against it and to urge Israel, even at this last minute, to be taken away from the competition.
Tadhg, now, I'm not sure if you have an answer to this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Why do you think the organizers of Eurovision were not able to ban Israel from entering the competition this year, despite the protests, despite the evidence out there that Israel has perpetrated war crimes in Gaza?
I feel it's just the latest in a series of examples where there is one set of rules for the West and the Western allies, and there's another set of rules for everyone else. So when the war on Ukraine started, it was okay for the Eurovision to be quite political in that instance and to ban Russia and Belarus as well, to get the two of them out of the competition. When it comes to a Western ally or the West supplying the weapons and the cover and the sponsorship for this genocide, it seems that they opt out to be apolitical. So it's just the latest in a series of examples that this idea of a rules-based order, an international framework, some sort of egalitarian system is laughable. It's a joke. It's one rule for the West and one rule for everyone else. And I would just, again, urge even contestants in the competition at this late stage, you could make a stand right now. If Eurovision won't step up and if the individual broadcasters won't step up, the artist could step up and say, no, I don't want to be part of this complicity in a genocide and I refuse to perform. And I think if I was an artist at the Eurovision right now, I think that would do an awful lot for my career. Aside from it being the right thing to do morally, I think the world would support an artist that would have that kind of guts and integrity and say, no, this is obscene.
And Tadhg, just very quickly before I let you go now, there are protests taking place in Sweden and in different parts of Europe against Israel's participation in the contest. But frankly speaking, are these protests likely to make any sort of impact on Benjamin Netanyahu when it comes to his invasion of Rafah and Israel's relentless bombing?
Maybe not on the ground right now, but we are seeing that protests work, be they protests against Eurovision, protests about the occupation, illegal settlements. They are working. In my own country, Trinity College have just had encampments in their university for 5 days. And 5 days is all it took for the university to announce divestment from Israel. Protests absolutely work. And even, God forbid, that this absolute horror and carnage goes on, I think every moment that people are gathering and protesting means that the pro-Palestinian movement is growing all the time. Israel tried to bury Palestine forever after October 7th, and actually the contrary has happened. I think there's an agitation for Palestinian liberation, statehood and justice now in all corners of the world. So I would urge people to keep protesting, and fair play to the people in Malmo tonight. All Palestinian solidarity groups wish them the very best, and go and do us proud.
Tadhg Hickey, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.
Pleasure.